Official momentum. Happy Wednesday, Moats and Deke. We about to have the highest paid safety in the league. Hoorah,
Facts.
hoorah to Money Minkah. Deke,
Facts.
by the way, it's volume one. He's got some laughing
Oh,
emojis.
from the
This was
actual.
back to
Yeah.
whenever he was shouting out his boy with
Mm-hmm.
the album yesterday. He just said volume, and I was like, I don't know what volume it is. So it was volume one.
Deke said it's so crazy. Like, hey man, whatever volume this is, I don't know which volume. I was like, oh Deke, come on, man. You just gotta just roll with it, bro. Just roll with it, man. Yeah. But no, that
And
is
then we
dope
got an
though,
upper
man.
room member.
Oh man, shout out to this is James Martin. James Martin, welcome to the upper room. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, baby. I like it. I like it. We definitely appreciate you, baby, as always. But what official momentum was talking about, man, potentially having Minkah being named the highest paid safety in the league. If the reports from Aditi are true, Aditi Kikwabala with the NFL Network, if that is true, how do you feel about Minkah being the highest paid safety in the league?
He deserves it.
Okay, okay,
It's
okay.
his time to get paid. It's almost like TJ last year.
Mm-hmm.
Your time's up. I mean,
Yeah.
you got Myles Garrett, you got Joey Bosa getting
Mm-hmm.
paid a lot. You've outperformed them, so you
Yeah.
deserve it. But then it goes back to I hate how people say like, "Oh man, I'm so pumped to be just allocating this much money to players from a Steelers organization
Uh-huh.
standpoint
So you
because
saying
it
you don't
messes
want
up our
them?
cap space."
So you don't like when
No,
they
I
pay him
want us
like that?
to.
No, I understand he
No, I
deserves
think we
it, but I'm
should.
saying like,
Yeah,
so okay, because that's what I was trying to figure. I didn't know if you were saying it like as a negative that
no.
he's going to be the highest paid safety for the team portion of it, versus us just saying, man, yo, Minkah's been a beast since he's come to Pittsburgh. He just deserves to be the highest paid safety. That's why I was trying to figure out the context a little bit.
No, he deserves it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just like TJ. Like my whole sentiment with TJ last year, I'm like, oh man, we've never paid an outside linebacker or one dude on the defense like
Yeah.
this percentage of the cap
Right.
being like close to 30 million.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, you just do it. I mean, if
Yeah.
this is what the market is, you don't want to
Yeah.
lose TJ. You don't even want to lose TJ last year. I remember heading
Right.
into the season, I just want TJ to be happy. I mean, if he
Mm-hmm.
can at least continue what he's been doing, he'll be worth it. But he exceeded
Right.
that.
No,
Who
he
knows?
definitely
I
did,
mean, if
man.
he keeps this up, man, he gets 25 sacks this year. He's exceeding that
Yeah.
contract, in my opinion. So Minkah, yeah, I think he's the best safety, or if not one of the
Yeah.
top three, if you want to take the objective approach. So he
Mm-hmm.
just deserves it. His time's up.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck for just our cap space and stuff, but I have faith for our GM to be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Especially if Colbert's going to be around for, I mean,
Couple more
for
weeks,
this
right?
contract
Yeah.
extension, but also who knows what type of role he's going to have going forward. At least
Right.
if he's going to be overseeing things. So yeah, I mean, I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah, I am too, man. I understand, when you start paying non-quarterbacks this type of money, it does take away from other positions. But I think in Minkah's case, very similar to TJ's case, those guys are such big force multipliers that you don't mind paying those guys top end money, number one paid player at their position type money, when you know the productivity that's associated with them and the consistency that's associated with them. When you think of Minkah, he's pretty much always been available. When you think of Minkah, he's always making splash plays, or he makes them a lot more often than he doesn't. You hardly ever see him out of position. You hardly ever see him doing things that make you, feel a little uncomfortable when you watch his play. Like, he is a super consistent, just high-end talent. And I think he's a guy that is still has room to grow and improve. That's the crazy part. When we talk about TJ, we're like, I think he can still continue to do better. Because you think about the numbers he had last year in terms of TJ Watt and how much time he missed, or games where he wasn't healthy. It's like, man, if he did that under those circumstances, imagine when he has a full off season, when he is 100% healthy and he's coming into this season. The sky, he could still keep going with this thing. And I think for Minkah, similar things can be said. If you show up that run defense in front of him, that takes a lot of pressure off of him. That can really allow him to trust those guys and then go back to being the freelance, playmaker that he likes to be. Whereas we know last year, the way our run defense was, it's hard for him to sit back in that deep middle of the field. You got to be ready to tackle, because we knew our run defense was very porous at the time. But if they get that addressed, man, I do think that that's only going to help his play even more, which in turn helps us as a defense even more. So, I mean, I definitely think that Minkah is worth it. And if that means that, you have to spend a little bit less on the strong safety position, or you have to spend a little less on a potential additional free agent, whether it's prior to the draft or after the draft, I'm okay with it, because Minkah is that daggone good.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So it looks like he'd be getting around 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
You got Jamal Adams. Jeez, oh man. Jamal
Who,
Adams
who,
getting
who? You said
17.5
the
a
best
year.
in the nation? That Jamal Adams, the best in the nation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
17.5 a year. Harrison Smith at 16. Justin Simmons at
Mm-hmm.
15. Buda Baker at 14. So it's
Yeah.
probably going to be between that 17 to 20 range. What's good
Mm-hmm.
about him versus TJ is just that safety market, that safety
Yeah.
position where we're not allocating 30 million. At
Right.
least it's
It's
in the
not
teens.
corner. It's not wide receiver. It's not outside linebacker. Safety, as much as we value it, it still doesn't get paid to the crazy, crazy extent. So, yes, I am with you on that, man.
Yeah, he deserves it. So I'm good with it. I don't think
Yeah.
it's anything surprising. TJ got
Yeah.
his last year. He was up.
Mm-hmm.
Minkah's been. I mean, we've been talking about this for about a year. Even
Yeah,
whenever we were
seriously,
talking
man.
about TJ contract and
Yeah.
trying to figure out what our salary cap space was going to look like for the upcoming offseason. It's like, okay, we're going to have a ton of cap space, but we also got to be looking for that Minkah extension too. How much
Mm-hmm.
we're going to have to give him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm completely fine with it. No surprise. I just didn't know there was going to be serious talks going on right now. We all thought it was going to be later in the summer, maybe like around May
Right.
or June, right?
Because that was definitely what Colbert had said, man. Now, granted, he wasn't specific about Minkah, but when he was asked about doing extensions and it was prefaced for Deontay Johnson, that was his response. And he made it seem as if that's how he conducts business, period. You know what I mean? Is that, hey, he likes to wait until after the draft to do extensions. And that had been the history, but right now it's looking like now they want to cut that check on the front end. So I'm all for it, man. As long as the deal gets done and it doesn't affect Minkah's availability for OTAs and training camp, because we saw last year with TJ Watt how him not being there at times, it did, limit him in a sense because his body was not to the peak condition that it was accustomed to being in. And that's when we saw TJ really start to miss time for the first time in his career. So as long as you're getting this deal done right now and we don't have to worry about it going forward, I think we'll be good, man.
100%.